Hello, researchers in training. You are a healthcare professional, a busy healthcare professional, a resident, or a medical student, be it pre-med, nursing student, and you decided you want to do research. There are many reasons why you might have decided you want to do research, be it for career advancement, be it for prepare yourself or position yourself to medical school or to some other type of professional training, and you want to start research. So before you start, here's something you need to know. There are two main types of research. One is basic science, and then the other is non-basic science research. So what is basic science research? Basic science research is basically the research that you do in a lab where some of the topics that you might encounter in basic research are research with animals, where you're trying to study what is the impact of a medication or a treatment. Another type of research is genetics, where you're trying to figure out what is a certain type of genetic variant that might have an impact on disease as well. So that's another type of basic science research strategy. And yet another type of research is research with proteins or some other type of macromolecules like lipids and things like that, where you're trying to figure out the structure, how they work, and this is all done within a lab setting, a physical lab setting. And on the other hand, there are the non-basic science research, where this includes epidemiology studies, where you're trying to measure the incidence or the prevalence of certain diseases. There's also clinical studies, where you're usually measuring certain things in a human population, especially related to a specific disease. There are also health services research studies, where you're trying to measure the impact of certain health services on utilization, on a certain type of medical problem. And there's also healthcare policy research, where you're trying to evaluate the impact of a certain health policy or the impact of a certain program on healthcare utilization, healthcare services. So you can study the impact of specific policies, be it at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level, and in how it impacts certain populations. So now that we have this basic understanding of the two main types of research, so the next thing you need to know is actually what are the strengths of these two types of research. So for basic science research, the first one is you're much more likely to win a Nobel Prize. Yes, exactly. And I'm only half joking about this one. The second strength about basic science research is that you can have some great insights about some foundational things of medicine and science, and this can really impact our understanding of diseases and medical problems. And then a third strength is that you can have a real impact on the way that diseases work, because you may discover that a certain protein works in a different way, or what happens when a protein doesn't work in a certain way, or you might figure out that a certain drug really works or doesn't work in animal models before proceeding to human tests. Now, on the other hand, some strengths of non-basic science research is that you can have, for example, with health policy studies, a direct impact in the way that policymakers make decisions. You can also inform the way that people use health services, which can also in turn help people making decisions be better informed about the way that people are using services. And then you can also provide information through epidemiology or clinical studies about the way that a disease is spreading through a population and things like that. And we have seen that with COVID-19, for example, where this became very important. So now that you have an understanding of the strength and the implications of each of these types of research, the thing you need to decide is what kind of research you want to be. While you may be able to switch between basic science and non-basic science research, it requires much more effort if you decide to switch between these two. And it's certainly possible, but it will take a lot more time and investment. So, now that you have this basic understanding, what type of research do you want to be? Leave a comment down below in the comment section about whether you want to be a basic science or a non-basic science researcher, and you may include also why. Type basic science or non-basic science down below in the comments and let us know what type of research you think you might want to be. So if you have enjoyed content like this, please be sure to hit the like button and also the subscribe so we can create more content for you about how to start your research career. Thanks, and see you next time.